Welcome back to the 10-second runoff powered by Culture Media with your hosts, Joe Mitchell and Alec Escade, and producer Magic Mikey Shiaza. Got some stuff to talk about today. We're going to look at, you love that. You need to just get on board.
You know
I
that's
don't
big.
love that.
Yeah,
I don't.
We're talking about schedule breakdowns for Oklahoma, Texas, and Alabama. Before we get into that, we do need to at least talk about the firing of Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. Allegations of hazing. Supposedly he knew what was going on. We're not going to talk too in depth about what actually was going on, but if you read the report, it was some unspeakable things that's quite literally why we're not going to talk about it on here.
Right.
Some of it not exclusive to Northwestern, probably happens everywhere. The other half of what was going on is a huge problem.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable, and hope to God is exclusive to Northwestern. I think that's the extent that we're going to cover that. I don't want to get too much into that, just for fear of saying things that we shouldn't be saying on here. But yeah, if you're interested in what was going on at Northwestern, feel free to look it up.
That, right.
Feel free to look it up. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama. One thing that I want to note is these are three of the most talented teams in the country. I want to say top 10, 15 talented teams in the country. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are three of the top 7 teams in the country with 70% or more blue chip players on their roster. That's 4 or 5 star athletes. So, judging by history, since the college football playoff started, and I know I've talked about this before, we probably stick too much to this, to be honest, but there's precedent for it, and I think I think there's merit to it. But judging by the history of the college football playoff, no one has won a championship with less than 50% of their roster being 4 and 5 star athletes. All three of these teams have 70% or more. I think that's of note, and we can start getting into the rosters. Let's start with Texas.
Yeah. So, at the helm, man, Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
I feel like we talk about him every episode just because, we
talked about him a little bit last episode because we were talking about Heisman odds.
Right.
Yeah.
And we differ on opinions so much there. So it ends up coming up a bunch. But there's definitely better guys that can helm your team. However, dude's good enough to win some games, especially with the weapons he's got around him. As far as receiving cores go, I think you alluded to it last episode. They got a real good one.
Yeah.
As well as their tight end. So if you're talking about weapons in general, it doesn't get too much better than Texas does. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you're talking about Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, I love Quinn Ewers. I know you don't. I think that's probably the best quarterback room in the country. So even if you're not looking at Quinn Ewers, you're still going. You got Arch Manning and Malik Murphy. So those
them, Ole Miss or USC, I think.
Okay, so top 3, even if we're not going to agree that they're the best quarterback room. Yeah. Top 3 with those kind of receivers, the tight end over there with Jatavian Sanders.
That dude's a G.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think that offense has the potential to be lethal, and the defense wasn't bad last year either.
Right.
This is a team that I think is going to go toe-to-toe with a lot of really good teams, and their win total preseason is 9.5. I think that's fair. What do you think?
Yeah, so, just to get, before I even tell you that, so you only have one new player on the offense. One guy that wasn't starting there last year. Or not so much starting, but getting playing time. The whole offensive line comes back. Obviously, it's A.D. Mitchell that's the transfer. Well, if you're going to have one new guy, you'd love for it to be A.D. Mitchell. So, yeah, as far as offenses are concerned, that I will agree with. Obviously, it's going to fall in the hands of Quinn Ewers as to if they're going to be an elite offense or even top 15 or so. But I think with the weapons, I think Ewers can get that done, if nothing else, top 15, somewhere in there. As far as the win total is concerned, to me, it's going to actually come down to the defense. And I know we haven't gotten there yet. We're going to talk about it. I don't think 9.5 is too out of the realm. I could see 9 or 10 wins, which makes sense to me.
Could you see them? You could see them falling below 9.5, though.
Yeah, I could see them with 9 wins.
So what's your spread? What's your floor and ceiling?
I like the line. I like the line at 9.5. I guess the floor 8? Would probably be 8. I think the ceiling's 10. Yeah, I think the ceiling's probably 10. So I think it's pretty. I like it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Look.
And obviously, you'll see which way I'm taking shortly.
Yeah, I think when You look at Steve Sarkisian as the head coach over there. I know it's taken him a couple years to really get going, but the recruiting that they're doing, they're recruiting with the best of the best right now.
Right.
They've put together 2 really good classes. Got another one that's set up really nicely. I think they're probably going to finish in the top 10 in recruiting this year.
Shoot, maybe top 5, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the program that he's building is one that's going to be a national competitor really, really soon. If it's not this year, I think it'll be really, really soon.
Right.
And dude, he's an offensive mind. You look at Texas last year, and you say, that defense they probably would have liked to be a little bit better on defense, but their linebacker room and their front 7 were really good.
For sure.
So like I said, he was offensive coordinator at Alabama, and has a national championship win.
Right.
So I think they're really set up nicely over there at Texas. Let's get into the schedule breakdown.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm scared to see where you're going to go with this one. So, Rice, obviously, is going to be a dub, right?
Yeah.
They go at home against Rice. They go to Tuscaloosa to play Bama.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I'll get it out of the way now. I do think Texas drops this game. But similar to last year, I think it's going to be a very, very competitive game.
Yeah.
Look, Alabama technically has Jalen Milroe listed as their starting quarterback right now. But, that's just depth chart stuff. No one's actually truly been announced.
Right.
We'll see that closer to the season. But regardless, their quarterback situation is worse than it was last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, their team as a whole hasn't taken a step
far
back.
better, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say their defense is going to be improved, and then every other position on the offense is solid. I mean,
Right.
I'll get more in Alabama when we get there. I think that game is going to be an unbelievable game. I think when you look at early season games, LSU Florida State week 1 is going to be a fantastic game, and then we go right into week 2.
The game of the week that week.
Yeah, yeah. I think you go right into week 2, and Texas Alabama is going to be potentially a 1-possession game.
Ooh, I like Bama by 2 or 3. I'm thinking like 14 to 17 points. I think last year was, I'm not gonna say a fluke, but I don't think that game should have gone the way it went. And Texas very well could have won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, you lose Bryce Young, of course. We'll get into Alabama. I think Texas, I would agree, has gotten better. But I think Bama's also gotten better overall. I think Bama wins this pretty handily.
Well, you talk about Alabama losing Bryce Young. Obviously, he was their impact player on offense.
Sure.
He was, a Heisman.
Yeah.
But you look on the flip side of the field, and you have Texas over there, and they get better at the receiver position, and they gain depth.
Mm-hmm.
They gain depth at the quarterback spot, which is super important. Hudson Card was a great quarterback. I have nothing against Hudson Card, but I think the people in Austin would feel better about their quarterback room now than they did a year ago.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you look at that Alabama game, and it looked like Texas was really, really going to make a push and potentially win that game by 7 to 10 points.
Yeah.
Early in the game. Quinn Ewers went down, Hudson Card came in, and the life kind of went out of the stadium. And then all of a sudden, the game stays tight. Ball falls a couple different ways, just the way the ball bounced there, close to the red zone. Alabama kind of got a favorable call there that, gave them a little bit of life. But that game was really, really good. And you look at the way that Alabama, and again, this isn't a shot at Alabama. Their team is better, in my opinion, but their quarterback position is worse. And Texas's team is better. I can't see that game going much different than it did a year ago.
So this is the reason. The key to me is the running back position. You lose Bijan Robinson, who rushed for like 1,600 yards last year.
Yeah,
he went dumb in that game.
For sure.
He went like really, really dumb. I think he had like 100. He had 100 plus yards and a touchdown receiving. I don't know.
And
you got to figure, right?
And to be fair, Texas lost Bijan. They lost their starter and their backup running back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and of course, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is gone, but Jace McClellan's gonna be, I think, just fine. But like you look at, I'm pretty sure he had 3 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown. Bijan did, the running back.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got to fill that void because that's a balling ass game. I don't know. I don't think it could be too close. I don't think there's any way Texas can win this game, which is why I have it a little bit wider than you do.
I think this is one of those games that as you get in the fourth quarter, the viewership numbers just keep rising. As games start to end, this is a 6 o'clock game, so as the the 2:30 games will be over, but as the other 6 o'clock games start to end, this is the one everybody's going to watch. Some people may click off of their game to come watch this one.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I really think you're looking at. I think Bama wins, but by no more than 7.
Damn. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it'll be wider than that, but yeah, I think we both agree that Bama's going to win this game.
Okay, so Texas opens up the season 1-1. Then they get Wyoming at home. They win that game.
Yeah.
Then they go to Baylor. This is another interesting one.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people picking Baylor in this game. They go to Baylor. They're about to start their little stretch right here. I think Texas takes this one.
Me too.
I could see it being decently close.
So Baylor's got decent odds. They've got top half odds to win the conference this year. They're coming off a bad year. I don't necessarily think that is something that's going to remain. Like, I don't think that's something that's going to hold. I think Baylor's going to be fine, and they'll, as a program, kind of, come right back in stride.
Right.
But I agree. I think Texas wins this one. And then these next 2 games, they get Kansas and Oklahoma. So Kansas last year put up 40-something points on them. Texas ended up winning the game, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Texas ended up winning the game. And Mikey, check me on that. Maybe I'm thinking of the Oklahoma-Kansas game.
I was about to say, you ain't thinking of the Oklahoma-Texas game.
No. So regardless, the quarterback over at Kansas, Jalen Daniels, he's an impact player. I think for this game specifically, and I think Texas is a much better team than Kansas, but I think for this game specifically, they're going to have to figure out how to stop Jalen Daniels. Yeah. Kansas shocked a lot of people with how they opened the season last year. I think they have potential to do the same. You got something? Go ahead.
So, what game are you looking for? The
Texas-Kansas.
Texas. Yeah, it was 55-14 Texas.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking of the Oklahoma game.
Blown out.
Yeah, they did get blown out. I was thinking of the Oklahoma game where they put up 40-some-odd points. Regardless, I think Texas wins this game, but I do think it's tricky. I think it's one that Kansas is going to get up for because I think Texas will be a one-loss team, and this will be a really important game in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I don't know that Kansas will have lost by then. We haven't really looked at their schedule, but they don't have an Alabama on their schedule.
Yeah.
So they'll have some momentum going in. I don't think it's going to be a blowout quite like that, but I think Texas wins decently handily.
Okay, so let's go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, so this one's tough, man, because last year, of course, if you had asked me, I wouldn't have told you they would lose 49-0. So
Well, Oklahoma had Dylan Gabriel go down too.
yes, but 49-0,
Right.
That's rough. Texas scoring 49 on them shouldn't happen anyway. That's without Quinn Ewers, I do believe.
Yes.
That's tough.
No. Quinn Ewers played.
He was back. Okay. Yeah, man. I'm gonna take Texas in this one. In a much closer game, probably 7 and 10 points.
Yeah.
It's at Texas as well.
Yeah, I like Well, it's not at Texas. It's in Dallas. But I like
right.
I like Texas. I like Texas in this one. I think Oklahoma is going to be a really good team. I think they're going to be much better defensively. I have a lot to say about Oklahoma. We'll get there when we get there. I like
Right.
Texas in this one.
Me too.
Then they get Houston and BYU. These are 2 new additions to the Big 12. I think here's what happens. This is where it gets tricky. If at this point Texas they have 1 loss. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 6-1. I think they're feeling really good. They're probably ranked in or near, if not in, the top 15. And they're facing 2 newcomers to the Big 12.
At 6-1, they'll be top 10.
Yeah, so I think this one's tricky. I think this is one that you could easily overlook, these next 2, the newcomers to the Big 12 who, a year ago were G5.
Right.
I don't think you can really afford to do that. I think these teams are going to be good enough to play with these guys in the Big 12. But I do expect Texas to win both of these.
Yeah, no, I disagree. Big time. I think these are gonna be blowouts.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think they win both of these games by 14 plus for sure.
Well, I wouldn't. Okay,
Houston wasn't good last year. BYU wasn't good last year. Like, these are not programs that are gonna do anything to Texas. I think they win both of these games by 14 plus.
I mean, yeah, but so upsets happen all the time. All I'm saying is I think these are games that could sneak up on you from when you're feeling good and you're playing newcomers in the conference. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I think
I'm with you.
Texas is going to be favored and should win these games.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if there's an upset that's going to happen, I think I could see it out of one of these 2
Really?
games.
I got you.
But I do expect Texas to win both.
I feel you.
Then you have Kansas State, the defending Big 12 champion. A lot of people think TCU won it last year because they were in the playoff. Nope, Kansas State did.
Just to get that out the way for no reason. TCU did not win the conference.
No, Kansas State did.
Yeah. Texas will probably be favored in this game. This will be my upset game. I think Kansas State has the talent to hang with them. Not on paper, but like true talent to hang with them. This would be my upset game. I'm gonna take Kansas State in this one.
I'm gonna ride with Texas on this one.
Gotcha.
Then they go to TCU. How do you feel about this one?
Texas wins. I don't think TCU is all that.
Okay, why?
I think they.
I agree. I think Texas wins, but
I think Texas wins. I think TCU. I don't know. Obviously, I think last year I'm not gonna say fluke, but yeah, it was a little flukish. So I don't know. I think they've even gotten better than last year, which is crazy to say. Obviously, going to the national championship and getting better is interesting. But I don't think they have a shot against Texas this year. I don't.
wait. So just let me clarify. You think TCU is better than they were last year?
Yeah, but I don't think you could craft another team to get all those one possession wins again. Like they very easily had the ball fall in a couple different ways. Could have gone freaking 5-7.
I disagree.
Like they won against Baylor and some crazy stuff with that last second field goal. Like I can't think of all the games on the top of my head. That was 300 days ago, but like they've had a whole lot of balls fall in certain ways.
They also went and beat Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, the TCU team last year was really good. Now, as we were covering them throughout the season, I didn't think they were a playoff team. Certainly didn't think they were going to beat Michigan and go to the national championship.
One possession wins last year for TCU, if you don't mind pulling that up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think TCU is a good team. I actually don't think they're going to be better than they were last year. But yeah, I do think
You
Texas.
think Duggan's the key there?
I think you
And Condre Miller?
and Quentin Johnston. I
Yeah.
think they lose a lot of their biggest producers on offense.
Right.
TCU had 4 one-possession wins last
I
year.
got you.
Yeah.
And then if you count the bowl game
Michigan.
against Kansas State, that was a 5th, but they lost that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that doesn't give them 7 losses or 6 more
Yeah.
losses.
I don't know. They just I don't know. And you're right. I mean they did lose a lot to where they have big names going there in the transfer portal, but you also have guys that like Quentin Johnston that wasn't a huge name that obviously became one.
Yeah.
Same with Condre Miller and obviously those guys. Duggan for sure. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna take Texas in this one.
Okay, then they go to Iowa State. This is the second game of a 2 away game stretch. Again, I like Texas in this one.
Me too.
Okay, and then they get Texas Tech. Last game of the year. Probably the last time we'll see that. Right?
At least for a while. Yeah.
Yes, at least for a while.
Yeah, at least for a while.
Yeah, this is the last time we'll see Texas play Texas Tech for quite some time. I actually think Texas Tech is underrated going into the season. I like Texas Tech to win this game.
Me too. I was gonna take them too. I think this is an easy game to drop. You know, you're whatever in 2. I guess you're 9-2 at that point. I think this is a game that they could really, really drop. I don't know if I'll predict them to lose, honestly. Oh Lord. You know what? Now I'm gonna take Texas Tech. I think they drop this game in a real, real tight one. There's gonna be a lot of points scored in that game.
Yeah, I like Texas Tech.
Me too.
To
To me, that's 9-3, and so that puts them under their win total.
me, that's 10-2.
Right.
I have their losses at Alabama and Texas Tech.
Yeah. So where does that put them?
I think at 10-2, especially in the Big 12 in such a competitive conference. Here's the thing about the Big 12 is their worst teams in that conference are better than a lot of the worst teams in a lot of other conferences.
That's right.
I don't think they have the ceiling that the SEC and the Big 10 does. Obviously. But I think that as the conference as a whole is a lot better than the ACC and the Pac-12. I think there's 2 big drop-offs there.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting conference. I think if you go 10-2, you're very, very likely in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree.
Okay. Let's go to Oklahoma. Their win total preseason is also 9.5.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I mean, we already talked about them dropping 1 game, so we'll get into that when we get there. I don't hate the line though. Again, I think it's a decent line. I think I could see them winning 9 games, 10 games. So
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
A lot of people were disappointed with Brent Venables up to this point. He's a defensive guy, and their defense has been bad the last couple of years. I don't think that's for a lack of trying. I think it's honestly just talent.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the way that Oklahoma team had been built leading up
Right.
to that point. But you look at the recruiting class. I want to say he had at least 16 freshmen brought in that were all on the defensive side of the ball. And then he attacked the transfer portal really on both sides of the ball. I think he is doing everything he can to replenish and replace this roster. And when the pieces come together for him, they're going to be trouble for a lot of teams.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, they have a really good old defense. Experienced defense, I guess that is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say really good, but I think it has potential to be really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. They get another they get their tight end back. That's so weird when people transfer and then transfer back.
Yeah. You're not saying back from last season, but he transferred back to Oklahoma. Stogner did.
Right. After transferring to South Carolina, so that's odd. But that dude's a dog. I mean, he's probably a top 5 tight end in the country, I think. So that's huge. But then, of course, I don't know. They always seem to choke. I need to see Dillon Gabriel again this year. I thought he was going to be a dog last year, and he was. Until, of course, he went down. So I can't really – I'm not dogging him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like –
You're looking for a healthy season.
Yeah, I was ready to go. Like, I wanted to see it last year.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, I would assume he stays healthy this year. I hope he stays healthy this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I think they're going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, and look at – so I think Dillon Gabriel's great. I'm a little worried about the receiver position.
Yeah.
Little bit worried about the receiver position. He's going to, the quarterback can't just go out and win you all the games you need to win. You need the athletes around him, and so that's one position that I'm a little bit worried about. But I look at the defense, and I say, okay, well, some of their the secondary was largely the biggest problem for them last year.
Right.
And 2 players they're getting back are Ethan Downs on the edge. He's a defensive end, and he provides really great pass rush. He was really good last year. He was one of the bright spots on that defense. He's coming back. And then I look at Billy Bowman, one of the safeties. He's a junior. Again, another bright spot on that team last year.
Yeah.
Pair that with Peyton Bowen coming in. He's a freshman that may not start day one, but I think he's going to get a lot of really, really meaningful playing time this year, and probably, could potentially be on the freshman All Big 12 team. I think this kid's going to be really, really good for them.
Sure.
So looking at that, I think if nothing else, it's an indication that you're moving in the right direction. I don't think they're going to be a really good defense this year.
Right.
But I think we do see probably 2 steps up from last year.
I can see that. I like that.
All right, schedule breakdown.
Yeah, so they got Arkansas State at home. I think we're cool there.
Yep.
It's a win. SMU at home. That's another win, I think.
I think
SMU can put up a lot of points.
I do think it's another win, but I think it's tricky. I think this is one that, again, another team that, they're not in the Big 12. They're a G5 team. But this is another team that I think you could very easily overlook. Maybe being so early in the season, you wouldn't overlook them, but it's a team.
They're in the Big 12.
SMU?
Oh, no. Never mind.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, as soon as you started talking, I was looking at another team that just got okay.
Yeah. SMU isn't. Cincinnati
no, not
is.
SMU's not. Yep, that's who I was looking at. Okay.
SMU's not.
I was like, Cincinnati is in the Big 12. Okay.
No.
No, SMU isn't. You had a point there.
SMU is a G5 team that they very well could overlook. I don't think they will early in the season like this. But, again, I think this is a tricky game. I do like Oklahoma to win, but not by a huge margin.
I feel that.
They get Tulsa, they'll win that one.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati.
They'll win that one. Why'd you stop?
I like them to win. I like them to win that as well, but again, not by a ton of points.
They're in the Big 12.
They are.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is.
Yeah.
Okay, Iowa State.
Dub.
I like them to win that. Okay, so we both have them
5-0.
5-0 going into Texas. We talked about this in the Texas segment.
Drop this one.
We both see them dropping this. I think Texas's offense is just going to be too good. I think they're going to be too good, and Oklahoma's just not going to be able to keep up. I think Oklahoma will show some. I think they'll show some promise early in the game.
It'll be closer than last year.
Yes.
I don't think they win by more than 50.
Yeah.
I mean, get that out the way. I think they will have a closer margin this year.
I think if Dillon Gabriel's healthy, then absolutely it'll be a different game.
I think
It'll absolutely be a different game. But I do think Texas wins this one pretty handily. UCF.
Hear me out. That says at Texas.
Yeah, but it's in Dallas. Texas is the home team, but it's in Dallas.
I got you.
Okay, and then they get UCF at home.
Yeah, I think they win that one.
I think they actually lose this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Coming off of Texas?
Yeah, I think coming off of Texas, they could potentially be a little bit banged up. I think Texas wins that one pretty handily, and they come in and just looking at UCF's offense and the explosiveness that they have, I think UCF may be able to catch them off guard. I think they drop 2 back to back.
John Reese is that dude now. Mm-hmm. Kansas? They go to Kansas.
Yeah, they go to Kansas. I think they do bounce back and win this one.
Okay, me too.
But again, this is a game they won.
bounce back.
They won this game last year, but Kansas put up 42 points. I want to say. I think
Yeah.
it was 53-42 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Then they go to Oklahoma State. Where's this game played? Bedlam. Yep, that a babe. Yeah, I think they dropped this one.
I could see it.
I think they dropped this one for sure.
I'm not gonna say for sure, but I could see it. I think this is a coin flip kind of game.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Oklahoma, if I'm right leading up to this point, and they have 2 losses going into this game. Again, this is one of those games that play differently. It's a rivalry that's always played on a neutral field. I think it's a coin flip kind of game. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma, but I would not be shocked either way.
Really? Got you. What about West Virginia at home?
I think win here. I think they win the remainder of their games.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you think they beat BYU at BYU,
Yeah.
and then TCU at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to take TCU to beat them.
You're gonna take TCU to beat them.
Yep, week 13.
You know what? I do like Oklahoma to beat TCU, but I'm gonna go ahead and give Oklahoma State the win over Oklahoma.
Okay.
So I see them dropping 3 of that 4-game stretch.
Oosh, that's
3 of
tough.
them are on the road. So away from home
Right.
against Texas, UCF, and Oklahoma State. So
That's on the road. On the road and away from home are the same thing.
yeah, but they're not at
I know,
Texas.
I know.
Yeah.
But
So I
we
see
both
them,
have 9 and 3.
both have them 9-3, just dropping in different game.
Different games.
Different game.
I got them dropping TCU. You got them dropping UCF.
So where does 9-3 put Oklahoma?
Yeesh. I don't know because the problem is I have Texas at 9 and 3, right? So I mean, obviously you have the tiebreaker there. I think that puts them missing the Big 12 championship.
You think there's gonna be another team that's 9-3 with a tiebreaker or potentially 10-2?
Yeah. And
All right.
of course we'll get there.
All right. Okay, last team that we'll talk about is Alabama.
Okay.
Like we said, we talked about all 3 of these teams having blue chip ratios 70% or higher, which is amazing. Alabama's just happens to be 94% of their roster as
What a
blue chip players. That's
It's the long
unbelievable.
snappers and the kickers and the punters.
Yeah.
That are not 5 stars.
Yeah, that's
4
unbelievable.
or 5 stars.
Just to put a little more emphasis on that. Currently on Alabama's roster, they have 2 of the 3 best recruiting classes ever, and 3 of the 10 best recruiting classes ever right now on campus. On campus.
I think another way you could put more emphasis on it is their blue chip ratio is 94%.
Yeah.
Georgia, the back-to-back national championship, who skull drug the team like just now, is 78.
Yeah. Yes, 78.
Yeah, that's almost like it's like a quarter less.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's brutal.
Yeah.
So,
And just to clarify, I'm not saying 2 of the 3 best and 3 of the 10
Right.
best in Alabama history. I mean in
the whole thing.
college football recruiting history
Yeah.
are on Alabama's roster right now. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable.
If you're keeping count, guys, that's the last 3 classes they've had. So, yeah, our top 10 ever,
Yeah.
including this past year with the number 1 class ever.
Yeah.
So that's really, really that's good. Well, not for the rest of college football. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it though is if you don't have a good coach to coach them, it doesn't matter. Nick Saban's like a decent coach.
He's the best coach ever.
Yeah, dude.
The greatest coach of all time.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So everybody's saying, so here's the thing, right? Everybody's saying that Alabama may have fell from elite status. No.
Not them.
No. I've said it before on this podcast. Since Nick Saban has taken over at Alabama, that first year they didn't win 10 games. Every year since, they've won 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Think about all of the off years Alabama's had under Nick Saban.
Right.
Those off years, he won 10 games.
Yeah. Think about all the off years. Okay, you're done thinking. They haven't had any off years.
Now, if your school isn't Georgia, and even if it is Georgia, think back 5 years.
Right.
But
4 years. Yeah. 3
But
years.
yeah, if your school hasn't just won back-to-back national championships, tell me another program in college football that can say the same.
Right.
There's none. There's
And
none.
also, Georgia can't either.
That's what I'm saying.
Except for the last couple, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying look back. I'm
Right.
saying look. Even if you are Georgia, look back 4 or 5 years ago.
Now the problem is, well, Michigan and Ohio State are right there too.
Yeah, but not winning 10 for the
Right.
last 14 years.
Yeah,
or
now for
whatever it is.
14. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, and we're gonna jump into this quickly, like the offense here. Like this is definitely a weak receiving core like last year. I'm not gonna say weak. I'm talking about weak for them. Like to me, this is their weak point for sure.
I'm going to say these are guys that haven't yet had their breakout year.
Correct.
But they're all blue chip.
Oh yeah, one of them is gonna go for 1,300 this year.
Yeah.
That's just again how that kind of goes. And it's funny because I said on one podcast I was like, whoever becomes the quarterback's gonna go for like 35. They're gonna like that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean for sure. Like you said, there's a guy on here that's waiting to be freaking somehow in the Biletnikoff conversation for no reason. So yeah, but like it's very rare for Alabama, and like I said, it was like this last year to go into the year not having a Biletnikoff favorite. Almost. I don't mean the favorite, but you know what I mean, right? Like coming back with Devontae Smith, coming back with whatever it was. I mean, they've had billions. So to me, that's kind of their. Obviously, the quarterback's also a little bit of a weak spot, but this is their glaring issue on the offense.
Yeah, and then you talk about some of the freshmen that came in. I mean, you're looking at Caden Proctor. He's going to be able to fill in likely at either tackle should something happen on that offense. We talk about them losing. We talk about them losing Jahmyr Gibbs, who was a huge producer for them.
Right.
Well, they bring in Justice Haynes.
A kid, yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna back up Jace McClellan, who, by the way, is elite. Jace
Right.
McClellan's a dog, and Justice Haynes is gonna fill in right behind him. They're gonna have a 2 running back system again. Yeah,
With a pass catcher and a bruiser, just like last year.
and you know what? Even if Alabama, let's say that the quarterback situation doesn't work out, right? And whoever they run out there, I think they'll stay with. Nick Saban's shown with the Jalen Hurts and Tua situation that if a change needs to be made, he will. Which, by the way, changing between those two NFL quarterbacks is hilarious.
Yeah, it sucks. Huh?
But he's shown that he will make the change if necessary. But I think even if you see, something crazy happen where they can't find a quarterback they believe in, they'll just run it down your throat.
Yeah,
And they'll win 10 games doing it.
yeah.
I think this team is deadly. Their defense is going to be better. Let's get into the schedule breakdown.
For sure. All right, so they go to Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, that's a dub.
That's going to be a tight one.
Nope.
I think they'll probably win by only like 35-42. So,
They get Texas at home in week 2.
yeah, I said I think they win by 14 to 17 points.
Yeah, I think this is a close game. I think this is a close game. I said on the Texas segment that I think Alabama wins, but by no more than 7. I'm going to stick with that. Then they go to South Florida, win that game in flying colors.
Yeah.
So they go. This is a really interesting stretch. So over the next 6 weeks, so 3-0 after South Florida. Over the next 6 weeks, they get Ole Miss on the road to Mississippi State, on the road to A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU.
That's a nice little home stretch. They got Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU.
Yeah, that's rough.
Well, it's a gauntlet for sure, but I'm just saying getting all 3 in a row at home is big for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start that off with Ole Miss at home.
Yeah, dub. I think they win that one.
I think they win it. I think it's a close game, though.
It was a close game last year. I don't think it's as close this year. I don't. I think they win it by a little bit better margin.
I think Ole Miss is going to be slightly better than they were last year.
I got you.
I think this is going to be a close game. I do think Alabama wins by probably 14 points.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm talking about fourth quarter scores and just
Yeah.
putting the stamp on it.
For sure.
Then they go to Mississippi State. I think Alabama's
Will
defense.
Rogers, here it comes, guys.
Will Rogers is highly underrated. He's highly underrated. I do think Alabama wins this game by probably 17. I think their defense. I think Alabama's defense is just going to be too good. Mississippi State is a good team, but I don't think.
What does Will Rogers crawl out of stat line wise of this game?
What do you mean?
What's his stat line in this game?
Probably.
I'm looking at like 213, a touch, and 2 picks.
I was going to say somewhere between 250 and 275.
I think a touch and 2 picks. I think Will Rogers is going to be like statistically one of the best quarterbacks, and then get a nice little blip. Bad.
Could be. Could be. I mean, you look at the rosters of the two teams. Alabama's team is significantly more
nobody's
talented.
going to take. Yeah, and of course my bold prediction is predicting that probably one of the best defenses in the country is going to beat a quarterback. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Yeah, I don't. What did you say points wise?
I said Alabama probably wins by 17 or more.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
And again, I think Mississippi State's going to be a good team. They're going to give they're going to give some teams a lot of trouble. But I think Bama's just too good all around.
Yeah,
Um,
Bama's better than they are in football.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now they go to Texas A&M after the Ole Miss Mississippi State stretch.
Yeah.
This to me, this one's tricky. This is another one of those teams that is just unbelievably talented. Texas A&M is. They went and they got Petrino as their offensive coordinator. To me, I think whether this game is close or not, rides entirely on if Jimbo Fisher lets Petrino truly run the offense.
Yeah, call the plays, yeah.
Because this is a talented enough offense to beat you. They beat LSU last year with a horrible offense. Devin Achane got healthy, and all of a sudden they came and shocked LSU.
Right.
So I think this is a team that is talented enough to play with anybody. The question is, will the coaching be there?
No to answer your question, and I disagree with the other thing you said. I don't think this team is good enough to play with anybody.
I said they're talented enough. I don't necessarily think their team is good enough yet.
Right.
I think the players on that roster are talented enough to play with anybody.
I would agree, other than probably the Bama players. And we happen to be talking about Bama. I'm going to have to go Bama in this one.
Yeah,
Big, too. Big. Like 21-24. I'm not talking about score. By 21-24. To me, this is a statement win. Like, to me, this is where, like, they're undefeated. Maybe they possibly have a close one against Ole Miss. Maybe they somehow just squeak by Mississippi State. To me, this is where everything comes together and they start to – because at this point, I think the quarterbacks all have settled in. I think McClellan's going to be somehow – like, I'm not going to say somehow. I think he's going to be a leading rusher at this point. Maybe not the leading rusher. And I think this is where they put it all together. Let me also say, I think they better put it all together this week. Because obviously, yes, you do get a 3-game home stretch, but this is your gauntlet. Mm-hmm. So I think they better put it all together this week.
Yeah. I think this game here's the thing. I don't think we know enough about Texas A&M yet. I
agree.
I think anything we say about Texas A&M preseason is assuming one of two things happens. Petrino crashes and burns, or Petrino has turned this offense around.
Right.
I'm assuming that Petrino, and as good of an offensive mind as he is, with the players on that roster, is going to end up being a great hire.
Yeah.
I think if that's true, this is a coin flip game.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think it's a blowout bad. I think this is our biggest disagreement.
All right. I'm still going to go Alabama in this game. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know enough about A&M, I don't feel comfortable taking them. But, if we get 3-4 games into the year and A&M's showing what they can do offensively and, they're gelling, then this gets interesting.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
For now, I'm going to take Alabama.
And Wegman's legit, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think this one could get really, really bad.
Okay, then
Even at Kyle Field.
The last 3 legs of the last 3 legs of this little stretch, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, all in Bryant-Denny, which is massive for them.
Yeah. So and 2 of these teams beat them last year. That's tough, obviously by a combined 4 points, but beat them last year. I think I have them steamrolling Arkansas. Anything there? When I say steamrolling, I mean 14. No, I think this one could be possibly bad too. And again, and speaking from Alabama's side of things, if you're, like I said, coming off of an A&M big victory, you need to do it again. Because again, you need to be rolling like all pistons hitting going into Tennessee LSU. So I think they better steamroll Arkansas.
I think this could be I like Alabama to win. But I think this is another one of those games where it falls in between. If Petrino ends up working out and that Texas A&M game is a coin flip like I was talking about, this is a game that falls between A&M and Tennessee LSU, and this would be the worst of your 4 opponents.
Yeah.
So this is a tricky game. This is kind of a trap game in this scenario against a really good KJ Jefferson in Arkansas.
Yeah. Raheem Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas is a really good, really talented team, a sneaky team in the SEC West. What?
When was the last time Arkansas beat Alabama? Do you know off the top of your head?
Late 2000s, late 2010s.
Right.
I believe.
Like 18, 19?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, late 2000s. I want to say 08.
With freaking, what's his name?
Darren McFadden?
Yeah, dude.
06.
06.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't happen again in 2023. Not in 2023, you know.
Yeah, no. Look, they put up a fight through 3 quarters last year too. I think you can see something like that where I think you'll probably see Nick Saban throw his headset and his clipboard and he'll freak out and yell at everybody on the sideline.
Yeah, but that's if they don't win. But like no, truly though, that's if they don't win this game by 30. He'll be doing that. And even if they're up by 30 in a game like this where you screw up, he's gonna do that. That's one of my favorite things in college football. When Saban throws that headset, dude, I get hype. But anyway.
Yeah, I like Alabama to win this. I think they're just too talented everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they're too talented everywhere. But I think this is one of the toughest stretches that anybody's going to play. This
agree.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU.
Yeah.
Just 6 of those games back to back
just
to
said
back
screw
to back to back to
Kentucky,
back to back. Well, Kentucky's good, but I don't think they're comparing to those teams.
Yeah, maybe not.
You know, we'll get to that game when we get there. But man, something in me tells me they could easily drop 1 or 2 of those games. I don't think they're losing. I don't think they're winning less than 10.
Right.
You know, they don't, but
That's just not something they do. So Tennessee at home.
so coming off this 4-game stretch of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M, Arkansas, I think this is an easy one to drop. But again, I think their defense is going to be too good. I think Tennessee's running out. I think that the Tennessee offense isn't necessarily going to take a step back. I think they're just going to replace their guys and come out with that same high-powered offense. But they saw it last year, and they don't necessarily have a Jalen Hyatt to go score 6 touchdowns.
Yeah,
on you.
or I'm with you. I think Bama wins by 10 to 14. I don't think it's gonna be stupid, but I think they win it.
Me too.
I don't think the game's ever gonna be close. I think they pretty much just keep a margin and win the game. That's how I see it's going. Because like it was back and forth last year, but the problem is Bama couldn't get 2 in a row. That's all that killed you.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be able to do that this year.
Well, when I look at this game, I say, Tennessee was really good at forcing the turnover last year. And Alabama doesn't have a quarterback that they're really comfortable. We don't even know who it's going to be yet. So the game planning is going to be interested. I'm interested to see how they approach that one. But, they got the best coach ever doing it.
Right.
So I agree. I think Alabama's going to win.
Right.
Then they get LSU at home.
I think we both took LSU in this one. Actually, pretty sure you took Bama in this one.
No, I took LSU.
I'm taking LSU. I took LSU before. I think LSU wins this one.
Yeah, and again, I think you're talking about 2 really, really talented teams. Bama's got the talent edge, but I think when you look at the offense that was able to hang with Alabama last year, the defense that was able to force a turnover in the red zone, and the defensive line and the linebacker room got better for LSU with one of the best pass rushers in the SEC, potentially the country, in Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
So I think this one. I think it's just a really good matchup for LSU.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's a bad matchup for Bama.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think
Especially
LSU
with a mobile quarterback, if that becomes whoever it is shtick, like that's not what you want against a Harold Perkins.
and let me clarify. I don't necessarily think LSU is going to be a better team this year than Alabama is.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
But I think it's a really bad matchup for Alabama at the end of a 6-game brutal stretch.
Right. I agree.
So I think this is one that they drop. But I don't think it's I don't think it's a huge crazy loss. I
Right.
think it's just a heartbreaking loss for Alabama.
You going dub here? To Kentucky.
So 2 Kentucky win.
Ooh, Tennessee, Chattanooga. That's kind of a trap game in the middle of no. That's real bad too. So and then at Auburn.
At Auburn. Bama wins this game.
Yeah.
Bama wins this game, but I'm excited to talk more about Auburn when we get there. I'm really interested to see what Hugh Freeze can go over there and if he can get that program back on the right track. I think he will, to be honest. I think Auburn's probably 2 or 3 years away from, being back in the mix for the SEC West.
Right.
So
Wow.
I think they're going to be a really good team here shortly, just not yet this year.
Right.
So I have them 11-1. You have them 11-1.
Competing with Georgia. Or no. Yeah.
No. It depends on what LSU
depends
does.
on
'cause
LSU.
I also had LSU 11-1. My loss that I gave LSU was to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, LSU would be competing with Georgia.
That's right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
What was your scenario? You said
It's the same thing.
okay.
I just had them. Yeah.
Okay. Mikey, you got anything?
No, I'm good. I don't got anything.
Magic.
He's got the magic.
He
Magic
does,
Mikey.
bro.
I guess so.
All right, man. If you made it this far, thank you for, appreciate you for watching, making it this far. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all of the things, TikTok. Thank you so much.